Hi everyone, I'm Dave, JE6GAE, the Hillbilly Ham, and you're watching the Ham Radio Kids Table.
Hey everybody, Punk Rock Ham Radio here. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. You are watching the Ham Radio Kids Table. Have a seat, enjoy your dinner, don't forget to eat your vegetables. Seriously, eat your vegetables.
Hi, I'm Julie, KJ4ULZ, one half of Hoda Power. You are watching Ham Radio Kids Table. Hoda Power on!
Hey, I'm Steve Goodgan, K5ATA, and you're watching the Ham Radio Kids Table.
Hi, I'm Walt, K4OGO, you're watching Ham Radio Kids Table. Let's get salty.
And it froze. There we go.
Good after evening, noon, y'all. Welcome to the Ham Radio Kids Table. We are going to rent you the seat, but you'll only need the edge.
I was actually flabbergasted because I spent so much time not working on that intro because I figured at this point it's a lost cause for me to do that.
I
I'm
don't
gonna
think
have
it's a
to
lost
record
cause.
Vince anywhere in any way I go. Vince is going to have to that part's got to be recorded. But no, that intro it's done that the last couple of weeks, and I don't know. They're supposed to be getting an automatic like scene switcher built in. They've got it if you do an actual their countdown, it does it, but for this it doesn't. And for that, I'm a little frustrated. Hey everybody, welcome to the Ham Radio Kids Table, where it's happy morning, afternoon, evening, y'all, or evening, morning,
wherever the heck you are.
Wherever the heck you are.
Yeah.
We'll let Vince do it.
Good after evening, noon.
There we go.
Golly. Well, welcome to the Kids Table. And tonight we are going to be talking about the ARRL's June VHF contest. Our friend Mike into N2MAK. Our dear friend Mike.
M2?
Yeah.
M2?
Yep.
Mike 2 or Nora 2?
Either one.
And yes,
Nancy
I used Nora, not November.
I've heard it spelled both ways.
Nicaragua too.
There we go.
Nicaragua to Mexico, America,
Mexico, Africa, Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Oh, you forgot the QR Poppy after that, though.
Yeah.
QR Poppy. I've never heard of QR Poppy. I've heard QR Mary.
Oh, Mike, you got to go get the shirt now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a new shirt design I got. You'll like it.
Are we going to do a wardrobe change throughout the?
No.
This stream? Okay.
That takes too much, Tim. That takes too much.
I mean, because our our budget's already pretty
thin
now. It's pretty thin. We're doing it all here.
Well, don't worry, it's fine. I am repping QR Poda.
Frank,
Porky James.
Frank, are you
Me
standing
too.
up?
No, I'm sitting down.
Oh, okay.
Too.
Jeff's rocking it too. So there you
Bro,
go.
you even ham radio.
It was even
which,
planned.
I see James is in the chat.
That's why I did that.
Look at you sucking up, Frank.
Oh no, James and I are. He's right down the road from me.
I'm sorry. I mean, for him. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. But so coming up, it's not Mike, it's not this weekend, it's the following weekend.
That
right?
is correct. Yeah, it's going to be June 14th.
Oh, that
is when it starts. Yeah, June 14th,
Okay.
Flag Day.
Father's Day weekend.
Is Father's Day that Sunday?
Yes,
Yep,
it is.
it is.
There.
Yep.
Yes,
Look
it
what they
is.
done did.
Look what they done did there. Darn it.
I'll tell you though, June is nuts. June and January, at least for some of my interests, but I think for a lot of us, are really crazy months for ham radio because you have Field Day in June, VHF contest. There's just like so much going on. My club has a big ham fest going on the weekend in between the contest and the ham fest. But June is also like you have wedding season or
Prom
wedding
season.
showers, high school graduations, and there's just like so much condensed all into one. And not to forget, International QRP Day is June 17th. So.
And to piggyback on that, for those that know, don't say it, but in 2 weeks, I have a special announcement coming out. So you want to pay attention to Ham Radio Kids Table on June 18th.
Ooh.
Can we guess?
You can guess all you want.
Do we want to guess?
I don't know. Do you, Tim? I'm pretty sure Jeff knows. So I'm.
I have no clue. I was just gonna say random stuff. Probably
Jeff, I think we've talked
on YouTube.
I think we've talked about it before, but we'll save that for June 18th.
Okay. I'll just wait. Keep myself in suspense.
Exactly.
All right. Well, you guys have heard it. June 18th. Be here. Are we live that night?
Juneteenth.
I don't know,
That's
Tim.
the next
Are
day.
we?
Well, to tell you the truth, I think I'm off work that day, the day after June 18th. So I love being off work. I'll just check our schedule. I don't remember if I'm off work or not. I think we were.
James is funny over there in the chat. What he just dropped, Tim. He is hilarious.
I see that. Look at there.
Yeah.
Going back to CB.
James, you don't know me well enough, apparently, bro. Bro, do you even know me?
Oh.
She could go work for Motorola.
There we go.
I wish.
Or they're going to dump a whole bunch of Motorola radios on his front yard.
No, I'll make sure that Motorola radios get GMRS certified so that somebody in a certain Discord can STF you about it. That's what I'll do.
You do that.
I'll leave it at that.
maybe it'd be better if they'd Romeo Tango Fox Mike.
Yeah, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Just saying.
Vince, short version, somebody tried claiming that Motorola and other commercial gear was not GMRS approved when there's a specific subsection of Part 95 that says it can be used with GMRS.
Wow.
Awesome.
We're not here about the rules.
Yeah, that's for another time.
That's Grandpa's ham radio. We're here to
No, that's Discord ham radio, and we don't talk about that.
And
that's why I don't freaking Discord everything.
And speaking of having fun, Mike, let's talk about the VHF contest. Yeah. You are a big VHF contesting kind of guy.
He loves it.
No, I do, and I'll kind of set the stage. I'll try to tell like a quick story of what got me interested in it. And I had wanted to do a Summits on the Air, and we have a fair amount of summits where I am in Western New York. The challenge that I run into, though, is private property. Unlike some other places, like in the Pacific Northwest, a lot of the summits are on private. So, but I found one that it was a single pointer. It's not a terrible hike up, and so I did it with my son, who has his general, and he was maybe 11 or 12 at the time, and one of my other friends who had just got a 705. And I kind of thought my rationale for this thing was like, well, let's try your 705 out because that'll do like all bands and all modes. And when I was a new ham, I was really tempted by the Yaesu 818. I like the idea of a radio that could do all the things, but I realized, I didn't have it, that wasn't going to be a good fit for me at the time, and I got a G90 to start off with. But my buddy had the 705, and I kind of was like, let's go up, let's do the Summit, and do it when there's a VHF contest, so we can play around with 2-meter sideband and stuff like that. And I made a simple 2-meter speaker wire dipole with a BNC binding post, an adapter, and it's like this is. I still
simple.
have and use this, and I made one for 6 also. Super small, super easy. And, I mean, you don't even have to, with the binding post, you don't even have to solder, right? You can just stick it in,
Frank,
and it's good to go.
So it's Frank proof.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I did that, and we made, and if you look at my YouTube channel and you see my first short, you will see, and it was before I was doing real YouTube. I just was dipping my toes in, doing a couple shorts, and you'll see the short of the Summit activation. And, you'll see my son and myself, like us making our first 2-meter sideband contacts and doing some other nerdy stuff. But that was kind of like, that's what really got me interested, is wanting to try all these different things, and especially something that isn't necessarily that as accessible, doing the weak signal stuff on VHF and above. Not a lot of radios do that. You can do FM on just about anything, but you want to do sideband or CW and stuff like that on 2 meters and above, the radios and the options that you have are a little bit more limited. But we had a lot of fun, and I just made it a habit to go out on, the contest weekends, which are June, September, and January. Try to go to a park or a summit where I had some elevation, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a really good learning experience for me, because what I've learned operating on the higher bands, I feel, has made me a better operator for the typical HF POTA stuff, because you're operating at some extremes where everything from the line loss that you deal with operating at higher frequencies to how easier it is to get gain, because the elements are so much smaller, and you can walk up 2,000 feet to the top of a hill like I've done with Yagis, 14 element Yagis for 900 megahertz, 1.2 gigahertz. You carry them. They're light as a feather. I can't imagine what a 14 element Yagi for 20 or even 10 would look like size wise. But then you realize, wow, the importance of antennas, the importance of gain, the importance of your whole antenna system, including your feed line, your deployment, your height above ground. Because you're operating these extremes, it's a lot more prevalent, and that's important. And you can take some of those lessons to other things like POTA and operating on HF and stuff like that. And that's kind of what kickstarted this for me. And like I said, I've made it a habit to go out. Sometimes I just do one park. Other times I'll rove and I'll try to do a couple parks. I don't pay too much attention to the points in the contest. I submit my log and everything, but people get points by working people in different grid squares, and so I'll pick parks with good elevation and a good clearing. And I'll come back to the clearing a little bit later, but I'll pick those in different grid squares, and at the end of the day, it really depends on my schedule with kids and work and family things and sports and all that. Like, if I can get out for a couple hours, or if I can get out and operate both days, how I'm going to operate. If you really want to dive into the contest, there's lots of different categories. and you can look and see what kind of fits your need. If you're going to go out and operate portable, if you want to do it from one location, or if you want to rove and everything. But I think it's a lot of fun. And my whole shtick has always been that leave no band behind. But at the end of the day, like, if we don't use some of this stuff, we lose it. We can complain all we want about manufacturers not making the radios that we want, but if we're not using those bands, those modes, and those frequencies, then there's no demand, and it becomes a whole chicken and the egg argument, whether you're talking about 220 or anything else.
So, Mike,
yeah,
you were talking about, you can't imagine the size of what a Yagi would be for 10 or 20. I have a 10, 15, 20 tri-bander Yagi. It's the boom length is 24 feet and the longest element is 31 feet. So it's 24 by 31.
I'm looking out in my yard to see like if I could even fit that.
Right. It takes up it takes up just over the size of an average 2-car driveway.
Yeah. That's a lot of Yagis.
Yeah.
It is.
But Mike, you live in one of the unique areas in the country where there's an active VHF, UHF group of people.
There is where I am in Western New York, and I'll include Southern Ontario, just across the pond. We play nice with those guys, and in fact, the Ontario VHF group or association just is celebrating one of their milestone anniversaries. So when I did the January contest, my log, and because we're all affiliated members with the Ontario group, everybody in my club submitted their logs under the Ontario to try to boost them and help them get, win and to get the most points or everything, just out of courtesy, like, hey, it's your anniversary, here you go. But there's definitely a lot of activity on microwave bands and everything. And I always say, like, it comes down to location, whether you're talking about height, which is important, whether you're talking about, I'll go back to the clearing now. You get to higher frequencies, especially UHF, and I think above 2 meters, then this time of year, the leaves, the foliage, I can never say that word right.
Foliage.
The leaves on the trees do bad things to the wigglies. Okay,
it's a New York thing.
No, they attenuate the signals at higher frequencies, and it's not a problem in January, but in June, it definitely is. So I try to pay attention where I have a clear path and everything, because I'm using a 705, so I'm putting out 10 watts. I'm going to have some gain on my antennas for UHF and stuff, but at the end of the day, like, you want all those whiskeys to make it through the woods and get to the other side. And it's a lot easier if you don't have trees and stuff. But, to find a high point that's on public land that doesn't, that has a 360-degree view, those are few and far in between. So, but it's location, and the last thing it's the ham density. You have the height, you have the path, but then you need to have the people that you can work and and whatnot. So I'm in a unique area. We have 2 meter and 6 meter sideband nets weekly, and in my region, and when you can have a dozen or so people checking in on 2 meter sideband, 6 meter sideband weekly, then you definitely can rely on making contacts if you go out and stuff. But like I said, it kind of becomes like that chicken before the egg kind of argument. You don't have enough people. Well, does that mean you can't go out and try, or you're not going to go out and try because you don't?
You can definitely go out and try.
Yeah.
But you need to be realistic about it. Like, if I try to do what you do down here in Delaware, I'd be calling dead air, because no one gives a hoot about 2 meter or 6 meter sideband, and they're not on there. They've tried to do 6 meter nets, which I think they're trying to actually start a new one, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But if you call on 14652 or whatever, 446, 446, you're not going to hear anybody. You might catch someone passing by on 95, And like we've seen it with like people in California, people in the Phoenix area, and in your area, and Rochester, New York, and there's just a bigger interest of using those bands and those frequencies.
Yep.
So
Jeff, thank
Jeff,
you.
let me just fix something there. That's SoCal that does that. Up here in NorCal, they 2 meter, 6 meter, forget it. Not gonna.
Yeah,
they're not.
I
gonna-
know in
It's
SoCal
dead
because I
quiet.
watched Mr. Greg K6EGG do many simplex contacts in the Southern California area at his home and remotely, and he's gotten
Oh yeah.
some good distance from his area or wherever he's been at down to like San
30
Diego, and I'm just
38.7 miles east of downtown LA.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
But
And
the distance that he's gotten from wherever he's been in LA, he's been at like Dodger Stadium or at his home. He's gotten some good distant VHF, UHF contacts on simplex. But like I said, it depends on your area, and there's probably some more areas that I don't know about. Those are the areas that I know about, and I know my area unfortunately doesn't have that. I could try 6 meters, but I would be calling out definitely to a state or two over.
Yeah.
So actually, Jeff, you mentioned, and not even thinking about it, I wasn't going to take an HT with me, but I am going to be in San Diego, so I am going to take an HT with me.
Definitely, you should.
Yeah.
Make sure you have a good 10, not just the rubber ducky.
I've got a signal
if you
have a signal stick.
Yep.
That's right.
If you have it, take
Purple
that Baofeng
Take
Chungus.
your signal stick antenna, brought to you by Signal Stick.
right.
Get yours at signalstick.com.
So something, Jeff, you also, as somebody had mentioned about having people on there.
Yeah.
I want to point out, because I think it's something we should celebrate, but our friend Alan, Kilo something 6 TWI.
Kilo Mike 6 Tango
Kilo
Whiskey
Mike 6
India.
Tango Whiskey India.
Well, it's California call signs.
Yeah, I could never get it. I could never get it straight when we were doing Winterfield Day. He went out all weekend. Everybody's like, "Oh, the bands suck. The bands suck." You know, the space weather lady, not knocking, but I'm sorry, weather people are always 50% wrong. But you know, they're constantly. There was a whole bunch, and everybody was pissing and moaning on the socials about.
Are the bands open?
Bands
open. Get out there and find out for yourself.
And that's what Alan did. He went out and got a rhino. He got a rhino.
He went to 10. He rove to 10 parks.
10 parks.
Made at least 10 contacts. I don't know what his total was, but he made the 10 contacts to activate all 10 parks. And he did it during a crappy space weather weekend.
I know he's, I think, in Vince's chat. So, Alan, you know where the link is. Drop in if you can.
That's right.
Or jump
But at the end of the
main
day,
chat.
like, you don't know unless you try with a lot of this stuff. When you're talking about band conditions or other things, and you know, I'm going to steer it back real quick to some of the VHF stuff, like with 6 meters, for example, or 2 meters, 6 meters sporadic E openings. You know, they say the summer's a good time. So I'll say this: the June VHF contest is definitely an ideal time. If you want to see what you can do on 6 meters, there will be a lot of activity. Every time in the June VHF contest, I've looked at my waterfall, it's been lit, whether it's on sideband or if it's on FT8 especially. If you are on FT8 in the VHF contest, pro tip, you'll need to go into your settings. I don't have WSJTX open, but you need to go into the settings. There's a settings that's like NA contest, North America contest or something, and you need to select that. If you're going to run during, even if you're doing it CQ POTA, and it just has to do with the exchange, with making sure that it's giving out the proper grid square stuff correctly. I can't remember if it's 4 or 6 digits that they want or whatnot, but ultimately, there's a little tip there, but it's a great opportunity to hop on 6 meters. And you don't, I know I was talking earlier about, 2 meter sideband and some of the more, extravagant modes and bands that aren't, easily achievable with, stuff off the shelf. But 6 meters, most HF stuff will do it. You can buy, a Yaesu 710 brand new, ICOM 7300, all these will do it. FM, sideband, CW, FT8 on 6 meters. And it's a great opportunity and a great time because there will be a lot of activity that weekend. And it doesn't matter what mode you want to run, just give it a shot. It's easy to make antennas for 6 meters. I did one of these speaker wire dipoles. It's just a little bit longer, and I've been using it for years, and it works great. Just give it a shot, and and it's a really good opportunity when you know that there's going to be that activity, and it's the beginning of the 6 meter season, so you might really get lucky. Who knows, and catch an opening.
How much do you think you have tied up in there in cost on that antenna you just put out, showed up in your hand there?
These things, you buy, like, this is the Amazon speaker wire. You can get the higher price monster stuff that Walt gets at Walmart. I get my stuff from Amazon.
Y'all got your dealers, I know.
But you get like a 50-foot roll of speaker wire, and it's going to be like, I'm going to guess, between 10 and 20 bucks. But because, this is 2 meters, so you're only talking about making, a half wave dipole that's going to be a meter long. It's going to be, like 1.5 to 2 feet. You probably have scrap wire laying around that is at these lengths.
Before you Amazon a roll of speaker wire for 20 bucks, go to your favorite Dollar General or Dollarama or whatever, and you'll find speaker wire cheap there. It's great for experimenting. I put up a 4-element fan dipole made out of speaker wire from the dollar store. My total investment in wire, not including the feed line, was $8. It stayed in the air for 7 years before it started to snap and need to be fixed.
And the contest exchange is 4-character grid square. Had to look it up.
Yeah. And to add on to that, Amazon Basic 16 gauge speaker wire, 50 feet, $10.52 at this moment.
Yep. And these are, so this is an adapter so that you could use a PL259 instead of BNC. But these are something, as with these, that we should all have.
Multiples
of. A couple of. Yeah. They're great for quick experimenting, but you never know when you need to do a repair or something in the field. And, it's that simple. Because I generally run at QRP levels, I'll say this, I haven't seen Ape in the chat, so he won't have a coronary when I say this, but if you're at the QRP levels, choking, especially for a dipole, is not going to be quite as important as it would be if you're choking with a non-resonant antenna and you're running digital modes and stuff like that, and you're dealing with the potential for RFI and things like that. But you can get away with, I didn't choke that dipole for like the first year or two. So you don't need to get that complicated.
I'm trying to channel my inner ape, and I'm not sure what to say.
Yeah.
Other than
as a QRP operator, I back what Mike has just said.
Yeah.
But I also come from the school of ABC, always be choking.
Yep.
And
so my QRP kit's got a choke in it.
And I back that up too. And Nate throws out a good point here. Ham Radio Dude and Simon, they go to the thrift store, Goodwill, whatever, pick up some Ethernet wire, some speaker wire. You can find anything there and put it to use.
A really good place too that I go to my town is the Habitat for Humanity's Restore, Restore. And so I've bought PVC, whether it's pipe or couplers, speaker wire, other wire. They have all kinds of good finds. Like every time I go in there and I see these big bundles of like Ethernet cable or whatever, all I think about is Simon. And
right?
I'm like, there's like 8 antennas right there for $3. Like, So it's it doesn't cost much, and I can't hammer it home enough. When you're dealing with the higher frequencies, the wavelengths, and the elements, it's going to be so much shorter, and it's a lot easier. You don't need a whole lot, and you probably got spare stuff laying around that you can use to experiment with, and just as I like to say, RF around and find out. Give it a shot, and whatnot. But we got somebody new on board. Who joined?
Dane.
Oh, there it is. What's up?
What's going on, everybody? How's it going tonight?
Good.
Pretty good. And just to verify, you are in the passenger seat?
Yes, I am in the passenger seat.
Okay.
But I'm on the passenger seat of the couch.
You can tell by the side the shoulder belt is on.
I know, but like, what was it? Like 2 weeks ago, I think it was. Everybody was really concerned that I was driving the truck while doing this because the camera was flipped, and everybody goes, "Oh my God, he's driving the truck right now!" But, no.
It made for quite an exciting
wheels. Yeah,
they were quite concerned.
Now, we talked a lot about doing some of the weak signal modes and stuff like that with the VHF contest, but I don't want to leave behind FM and simple things like just grab one of the HTs. I'll grab one of the old school ones. A simple HT.
Hello.
And so, Alan.
Hey, everybody.
You can go out and if you're going out and you're playing POTA that weekend, Father's Day weekend, the 14th to 15th, just bring your HT, put it on 5.2, 5.8, 5.5, just monitor, listen. You'd be surprised. You might hear some traffic and some activity, and it doesn't hurt to call out. Jeff said, the exchange is simple. They just want your grid square 4-digit. So,
hey, Mike.
Most of us probably already know it.
Mike, look at what just got dropped in
nice.
Thank you, Jody.
Yeah, I was just saying, is Jody
awesome.
Walker?
He dropped out before joining the chat.
Yeah, but bring your HTs out and just call and give it a shot. It's obviously it's always better if you get that elevation and stuff for line of sight, but you might even be in an urban park or environment, and just the sheer density of people around you, if people are monitoring and stuff is good. So take advantage of it. It doesn't hurt to give it a shot.
Yeah,
if you're
definitely that weekend.
Activate, just give it a shot. Give 6
definitely,
a shot.
Yeah, definitely that weekend will be a good time to give it a shot. There you go.
Yes, give it a shot.
Just because it is a VHF contest, you're more likely to get some activity on VHF frequencies and modes. So
yeah,
and staying home and posting on social media. Are the band's good? Should I go out today? Get off your lazy butt and go outside and find out.
Yep.
So, Mike,
I'm going to add to that. But get off your lazy butt, go outside and find out. But how do you find out? You find out by tuning into the IARU beacons. And I pasted that link in the chat a little while ago. You're going to have to scroll back up to find it. The IARU beacons transmit on the 5 HF bands between 20 and 10 meters. And they send out a CW signal. And even if you can't decode CW, you can download a piece of software on your phone that tells you what beacon is transmitting at this moment, because they are geosynchronized and on a very tight schedule with each other. And then you can say, oh, well, I'm hearing the beacon from India or from California or whatever. So go out there and listen. A number of times I've gone out there when the numbers say, Vince, stay home. And I'm like, yeah, screw that. And I start driving towards a POTA site, and I'll listen to all 5 bands. Thank you for whoever's sharing that, Frank.
That's me.
Perfect. Yep. And the IARU beacons are the bomb. I will find that link and put it back in again.
I'll just drop it in the chat since I'm right here.
Do it.
If my control key would work.
Speaking of the beacons, a funny thing, which it's kind of... As I was starting to get into the VHF contest, I was up and I'm in Western New York on Lake Ontario. My in-laws have a cottage up near the Thousand Islands, up further north on Lake Ontario. And I was up there, and it's like 80 to 90 miles as the crow flies to get back to Rochester. And the first time I was up there, tried with the HT, seeing if I could hit some of the repeaters. No luck. But it is a Great Lake, so it's a very large body of water, and we've read and heard all about tropo and everything. I'm up there another time, and they asked me to reprogram their TV. There's no cable or anything up there, so I'm just doing a channel scan with the antennas. And I noticed that Rochester channels were coming in. I started thinking, wait, aren't these channels like on VHF? Well, what did you know? I walk outside with the HT, keyed up 5 watts signal stick antenna, repeaters 90 miles away back in Rochester, having QSOs. And I was blown away. And I was like, is this happening? Is this what I read about, what I studied when it's talking about tropo? Is this actually happening, or do I just really have a good path? And the next day, get up in the morning, Rochester channels aren't coming in on the TV, walk outside, not able to key up the repeater. And I was like, okay, this is good. Now I have an actual beacon. I can check to see if I'm getting tropo, and it's it's in or out and stuff. But it's neat when you have it. So I know we touched on the sporadic E, but tropo, I think a lot of us maybe by large bodies of water, whether it's Great Lakes or oceans and stuff. And when those conditions happen, it's pretty surprising. I had a 1 watt QSO on 70 centimeter sideband from 90 miles away, just armchair copy, when I was up there one time with one of the VHF guys back in Rochester. It was crazy.
So, Jeff, that's just for you from Jody.
I did share an actual post from some social media platform in our Discord, in our private Discord. During the weekend, I forget. Too much stuff's been going on for me, so. But yeah, it happens every once in a while. Someone's going to post, "Are the bands good today?" Or "What are the bands like?" I mean, it'd
be a lot better if you were there.
Exactly. I don't reply to those kind of posts, and I'm just like, I have my own opinion about these people. It's like, you really should get off your rear end and find out. I mean, like we've said multiple times already, it's like, if you don't go out, you're not going to know. Go out and find out for yourself, and get off your lazy butt, go do it. And you could be surprised. And it's only going to cost you maybe a few dollars in gas, depending on how far you have to go, and your time, and a little bit of energy to set up your equipment.
I'll say this.
The rewards could be great. You never know. You never know.
I'll say this, and don't be afraid of failure. Just get out and have fun.
Yeah.
I heard you guys talking about me a minute ago this weekend, getting my Rhino, that 10 Park Rove, done during a severe geomagnetic storm. I woke up, I'm like, oh, dude, this sucks. What am I going to do? Do it anyway. And I did. And I had a blast. It made it more challenging, and it was also more rewarding in the end when I got it done. I had to work for, I was getting 10 or 13 cues at each park, and there's a video coming out in a couple of weeks for that, so that's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, that's just the time that I had. I'm not going to let some numbers on a website dictate whether or not I'm going to go out and get on the air and at least try and learn something new in the process.
You know that widget that says if the bands are open or closed?
Mm-hmm.
I hate that thing. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
Fun fact, it's about 3 hours delayed. So when you see that info, that was 3 hours ago. That's not current. That was 3 hours ago.
Yes. And people rely on that like the Bible, like it's the truth, like it's everything.
Well,
and it has some relevance, yes, but it's like relying on the weathermen in London for your weather here when they cover it. It's like, oh yeah, the U.S. is going to be nice and sunny today.
That's a fair point. That is a fair point. When I was streaming, Sunday morning from the park, it was the same kind of thing. People were like, "Oh, the bands are cruddy." Okay, I just kept calling CQ, and yes, the bands were cruddy. But then all of a sudden, they were there, and I'd get 3, 4, 5 contacts out, and then it would just kind of die off again, and then it was there, and call CQ. You're not going to know. That's at the end of the day, you're not going to know if the bands are going to be free unless you just pick up the microphone and do it. Or to Vince's point, check out one of the beacons and look at the muff map, see where it's going to be, and dial in to that frequency. Look for a beacon. And Mike, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
I said muff map, and you got a little excited there, like a kid.
Muff map.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
James made a good point. And I was going to say something too. And there's one of the NOAA space weather dashboards I just pasted in there. Get yourself like Space Weather Live app on your phone and use that. I mean, if you're going to go out and play football or baseball or have a picnic, you're definitely going to watch the weather, the geographic weather around on the planet. And if you're a ham and you do portable operations, you should have a space weather app that you look at and kind of don't go by it completely, but it gives you a good idea of what's going on. Like on the last video I put out last night, I was on the 25th of May, and I knew there was a solar flare earlier on in my morning, and when I got done, 30 minutes later, I saw another solar flare pop off. But at least I knew about it, and I said, well, probably I was having so much problem hearing people is probably because of that solar flare earlier in the morning. Well, it probably was. But at least I knew about it, and I was like, oh, the bands were terrible today. It was like, I was kind of prepared of what might happen. So
Greg says, if you think the solar flares are bad, hold my beer. He's got solar panels and whirlpools to deal with.
What's up, Greg?
Hi, Greg. How you doing?
Nice to see you guys in here. And by the way, congrats to Punk Rock Radio there. You got your Rhino there on a really bad day too.
On Black Sunday.
Black Sunday.
Yeah.
Black Sunday.
I still haven't done a Rhino. That's awesome.
Watch what I did on Black Sunday.
Right.
Being the punk rock. This is
Man.
Punk Rock Ham Radio. We just go out and activate anyway. And even if I didn't make any QSOs at the end of the day, I'm still outdoors practicing with my gear, having fun. So
Sunday, go out and spew some RF. The bands aren't dead.
I was glad to have the voice recorder functions, though. Tell you what, I'm just,
Oh my gosh, yeah, I bet.
on my 891, pressing that button, CQ POTA, and just draining this battery back over there. Like that 20 amp hour battery was working for it too.
Alan went, sit here, hold my beer.
How did you do the 10? Did you do a couple the night before?
No, I did them all in an afternoon. I
Oh.
didn't start particularly early or anything. I got up around 10 and then I looked. I didn't even realize what the band conditions were until I was getting ready to go, just doing routine stuff, go and look up my favorite website. And I'm like, oh, crap, dude, this does kind of look like radio blackout mode. What am I going to do? Well, let's just go out anyway. And I was kind of planning on doing some reconnaissance that day because I wanted to, plan out my route. And I just decided, no, that's a stupid idea. You're already here. Just go and do the rove. And then if I fail, then now I know this whole entire area better. And I started on FT8 because I'm like, oh, I can't do sideband because, solar flares and stuff. And then an FT8 was just taking way too long, and I was wasting all this time at the beginning. And I just got my 891 out on single sideband, and I banged them all out, 10, 13 contacts, about 15 minutes at each park at that point. And I got it done in the nick of time, though. I had 1 hour left to spare in the UTC day, but I got it done, and now I can move on to the next thing.
When I do the 10 parks, I start at 9 a.m. sharp. So I'm on the road at 8:30 to get to the first park. Otherwise, you can run into that issue.
Yeah, the next time I do
So-
more parks, I'm just gonna have to get up early.
Yeah. So Greg brought up a good point or asked a good question. This goes on the UTC day, not the calendar day. So for here on the East Coast, it's 8 p.m. Eastern. For you guys, it's what 5
5 during
p.m.
the summer.
Pacific Daylight, and it's 24 hours after that. So you can start at night and take advantage of some of that, and then during go to bed, get up the next day, and continue on after you've rested and take advantage of some of the other bands during the day. So there is always that.
It's a great thing to do when you go camping.
Oh,
for the
absolutely.
weekend
Oh,
is like you're in the middle of nowhere, hopefully in the middle of nowhere, or at least a campground. Hopefully without a lot of RFI around you. And you're up. You could be up late at night. You don't have you might have a TV and everything, but you have the ability to be in a POTA entity at night and make contacts. You got the late shift award. You could get the early shift award. And you don't have to go to bed. You don't have to get up next day for work. Well, hopefully you don't have to get up next day for work, but you have that opportunity to be at the park and make those contacts, probably in hours that you may not normally do during your normal week.
And that's what Kim K6YYL and Jenna WW0MAN do. Like right now, Kim's out at a POTA entity with her husband. First time they've been able to get away for a while now due to family things. And she's having a blast out there camping and doing POTA at the same time.
Nice.
So last year at Huntsville, I went down for the entire week. I got there Monday and I camped through the following Monday. And because I'm on Eastern time and Alabama's on Central time, I was up an hour earlier. My body just said, hey, it's time to get up. So it was like 5 a.m. I'd just get up and make FT8 contacts and drink coffee and wait around for people to start, milling about and waking up. And then I'd switch over to voice and I'd make a bunch of voice contacts too. And I do that every morning. So it was kind of a neat thing. So Mike, we're coming up here.
Yeah.
We got about 13 minutes left. Ham Nation is on tonight. It's live tonight. So we'll need to get a link for that.
Already
put in the
done.
chat, Frank, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
But any last minute pointers?
Yeah,
I
sort of tease this on Twitter or X or whatever you call it. Twix.
The Twitters.
So
Tim, he's already having a hard time with his T's and W's. Don't make it harder.
Yeah. I am cursed with my father's gift of pronunciation, and it's anyway. There's a new Yaesu radio out that maybe some of you have heard about.
No way!
Really?
Please no. Please no more.
I wasn't. I didn't know Yaesu was developing
So
new
I'm going
radios.
to issue a challenge to all those new hams that out there that got their hands on one of the new Yaesu radios. Okay, you got enough time to get comfortable with it. Bring it out for POTA, for SOTA, and everything else. Invest the $10 it takes to build an antenna. If you purchased and you got your hands on one of the new 1Fs, bring it out the VHF contest weekend, the 14th or the 15th, and give at least 2 meter sideband, 2 meter FT8, 2 meter CW a shot. That's all I'm asking. If you're fortunate to have one of these all band, all mode radios, I have a 705, but the 1F looks fantastic. And I want you to go out and I want you to try, because you can build a 2 meter dipole for next to nothing, and give it a shot. Try FT8 on 2 meters, try sideband on 2 meters, try CW on 2 meters. It's not something you can normally do. If you ever wanted a weekend to give it a shot, the June contest is the weekend to do so. Give it a shot. At the end of the day, you might not like it or whatever. That's good. That's fine. But I think at the end, we can all agree, there's 2 characteristics that we all have in common as hams, and one is curiosity. It's curiosity that led us into the hobby. whether we were engineers or preppers or whatever. Curiosity is what was something we all share.
It also killed the cat.
The other thing that we all, I think, could agree on is we learn by doing. Some of us have memorized to pass the tests. Others have read the books cover to cover. But, you know, book smarts only go so far. Sometimes you just have to get on the air, operate, build an antenna or whatever. And so using your radio to its full capability, trying different modes, different bands, things you might not use, makes you a better ham, makes you a better operator. Whether you like it or not, just give it a shot. You might learn something and you might find a new interest. So that's my challenge to the Yaesu peeps. Build a dipole for 2 meters, set it up on the VHF contest, and give weak signals a shot on 2 meters with your new rig.
Awesome. Frank, you said you had something.
Yeah, but before you pop that up, Dane, you're not getting out of the live stream without this question anytime soon, it looks like.
Oh, no.
Brian asks, are you team driving? Can see motion out of your truck window. I'm like, he's team.
Yes, I am team driving. Yes, I am a team driver.
So, Tim, bring up what I have to say, please.
Hey, what happens in the truck stays in the
Vegas,
truck.
baby.
So, this weekend, the Radio Association of Western New York, and Mike, I shared this with us in the private Discord, they're doing the Museum Ships on the Air weekend.
I remember doing that. That's actually a lot of fun.
Operating from all 4 vessels. So keep an eye out for them. I don't have a link to this, but keep an eye out for those 4 vessels. It will be Whiskey 2 Papa Echo, Whiskey 2 Sierra, Whiskey 2 Tango, and Whiskey 2 Charlie. So
isn't it more boats than that?
That's the 4 vessels that they're going to be operating from this weekend, it says.
And that's the scroll up on there. That's for the Radio Association of Western New York, but there's going to be other ships, right?
I would have to go grab a link for that. Let me see if I can do that real quick. Well,
isn't it like that this weekend?
Yeah, it's this
There
weekend.
are a bunch of museum ships on the air. I'm trying to find a link to
nationwide,
like a nationwide link.
Do you mind if I say something really quick before we move too far away from the 2 meter contest stuff?
Yeah,
go right ahead.
Something with like what Mike said. Mike was saying, like, go out, build your own dipole, which absolutely go build your own dipole. Like, that stuff is wicked fun to like build your own antennas. Do not be afraid to failing. There's so many people out there that are so afraid. They're like, oh man, I'm gonna fail. Failing is learning. As long as you use it properly to motivate yourself to do better. And I just wanted to get that out there for some of the new guys, because like some of these guys get like super discouraged over like, oh no, I messed up. I'm like, hey, I've tried my extra test twice and I failed it twice. Guess what? I'm still studying and trying. It just motivates me harder to keep going.
And yes, Jeff dropped a link to one of the other ones, and Vince did too. But I just noticed this Greg.
I found the master list.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was looking for. I couldn't find it. I found
it.
Wisconsin. You found the New Jersey one?
Greg, this one's just for you. The Midway on the Air this weekend, they're going to be using analog FM and D-Star.
I wonder if I can hit them analog from here.
San Diego? You can try.
How about Simplex D-Star?
That would be something.
I've made over 100-mile contact on Simplex D-Star from Dodger Stadium, no less.
And they will be seeking VHF, UHF contacts within the Papa system coverage area.
Well, there you go.
And Greg, you know how I feel about
Californians
Papa.
and their Papa system.
No, that's SoCal. that's
there.
SoCal, and it's membership only. So,
did you go to the Papa picnic?
No.
It's actually on Saturday, Sunday, I think. Unfortunately, I'll be working if I can get a car.
I love this comment just before we wrap up here. Jody is asking if 16-inch gun barrels tune up on 20 meters. We'll have to answer that skill testing question another time.
I'd be down for trying that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Jody,
that'd be
I will.
pretty cool.
I will see if Steve can try it because Steve's good at experimenting with that stuff, and he's always on a ship. So
That's what I originally went to school for, was gunsmithing. So I got
Perfect.
stuff at home that I might be able
Tuning
to
up,
mess around with and see if it
60.
works.
All right. Hey, Frank, what do you got coming up this week, man?
every Thursday for the foreseeable future, I'm running the NorCal SwapNet. This Friday is the first Friday of the month, so it's Q and AMA, and then next week is second and fourth Friday is CQ Chit Chat. I have a field day one coming up because it is field day month, and come back to Ham Radio Kids Table on June 18th for a very special surprise.
Right on. Jeff, what
And-
about you, man?
No, hold on, Vince.
What?
No.
Let's see here. Can I get it out here far enough?
Go quick, Frank. We're losing time, buddy. Does your RF even wiggle like Shane's bananas? Perfect.
Oh, geez.
Get out there and wiggle your RF bananas.
So,
Yeah.
so all I got to say briefly is, why is Frank manhandling Shane's?
I'm not going there. We're running short on time. Jeff, what's coming up, man?
There we go.
I got
I need
nothing
adult.
going on.
All right, Alan, what do you got coming up? Alan, you're muted locally. Hey, Mike, what do you got coming up?
Me? I'm going to go out and do a POTA with the new Radiodity antenna that they sent me. And I borrowed my original G90 from the person I sold it to go play with. So I'm going back to my roots, and I'm doing it at the original spot I did my very first POTA.
Nice, right
There you
on.
go.
Alan, are you ready?
Cool.
No, he's
Nope.
not ready yet. Dane, what do you got coming up, man?
I'm going to try to get the video out that I was talking about last week. I ended up running out of time this weekend due to nonsense with the kids. Don't be discouraged on failure was the name of the video originally. So and that's what's going to be. I'm trying to get out.
Right on. Well, we're looking forward to it. Greg, what about you?
I'll probably do a stream after what's it called, Ham Nation, and to what Portable Ham just said. Winners lose more than losers because they try harder usually. So keep that in mind. So keep trying.
Okay.
Is that winners lose more
Yep.
than losers
Because
win?
they don't give up. They keep going, trying at it. So
All right. Tim, what do you got coming up, man?
I'm going to be out in San Diego. Be flying out Saturday morning, bright and early. So I'm going to be heading around San Diego County with probably a Jeep. I don't know how I feel about that, but some form of an off-road, as a Bronco owner, I don't know how I feel about that, but some form of an SUV, and
Buy the KX2.
I'm going to probably head out west
Right
somewhere.
on. Well, hope that works out.
Up in the hills
mean
and
east?
everything. So
Yeah,
try my
yeah.
luck.
Go west
Well,
from San Diego.
sorry,
Go
yeah,
west
east.
from San Diego.
All right.
Yeah, that'll work out real well.
I am a Navy guy, so I can
Vince,
swim.
what are you doing?
Hey,
Allegedly.
you know what? I don't know. I got videos to edit, and that's what I know. Alan, is your mic working?
Can you hear me now? Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I fixed
Okay.
it. Cool.
Can't
Yeah,
What do you
so I
got
have all
coming up?
kinds of things going on. A bunch of POTA paper chasing videos, Black Sunday video coming out. We already talked about that. This weekend, I'm going and scooping up 2 new parks south of Gary, Indiana. I've had that planned for like over a year, so look out for that. And just doing what I always do every weekend, having fun outdoors, playing ham radio.
Right on.
Bring your gun.
Tim,
for
back
those.
to you, man. Under a minute.
Man, look at that. Vince, you are
I can be a machine sometimes.
He's on the ball.
man.
As Jody said, Vince is
God.
too damn efficient. 90 more seconds left to fill.
Well, okay, then I'm
48,
going to do a POTA
49.
on Sunday. So watch for that in northern Alberta. I'll be at 56 degrees north. There we go.
There
Wow.
you go.
I'm gonna try to get out on Saturday or Sunday. We'll see what I get stuff done.
Wow.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
hey, folks, listen, thanks for coming out this evening to the Ham Radio Kids Table. Good after evening, noon. Please go to Ham Nation Next up on the YouTubes. 73 from all of us.
And-
Bye for now.
Tell them we sent you.
Tell them we sent you.
Heck yeah.
How my phone decides to work.
Gotta love technology.
You guys timed that out perfectly.
For this week because he happens to be an extra and a VE.